guys. So I talked to you a lot about hinging at the hips, and I wanted to tell you today why that's so important and how it will help you make your practice more effective and safe. So one of the fundamental foundational things that you need to have in a yoga practice is connection to that area and recognizing that how important that hinge at the hip is. And for most of us in the Western world, because we sit with ourselves in cars and couches and chairs and cubicles all day, we're always sitting this way. We don't often open up the hips and sit cross-legged and have that flexibility in our hips and in our glutes and in our low back and in our hamstrings, most importantly. And the hinge at the hip can help you to protect all of those areas while you're gaining flexibility in the hamstrings. Also, that hinge at the hip is going to help you be cognizant of the length in the torso and the spine and to protect so that you're not collapsing in the upper back and not being able to breathe those full, big belly breaths, to connect the breath to the body and also to bring the breath in to feed those lower muscles all the oxygen they need in some of the more exerting postures. It is also going to help you to protect the hamstrings when you come into the posture so that you're not coming into the vulnerable parts of the hamstrings and you're really stretching into the strength in the belly of the hamstring and pulling the length from there. So I'm going to show you an example in pyramid pose. The most important thing to remember about hinging at the hips is to find out where do my hips hinge from, and then always remember that so you can bring your hands there as a point of reference. And if you just put your hands right in the crease where the hip pockets fold, and for me that's right here, I can feel where it would hug the hands if I put them right there in that pocket. That's where my hinge at the hips is. So first of all, your hips, I want you to think of them kind of like your headlights of the car. Whatever direction they face, that's the direction you should be moving in. So in pyramid pose, and I'm going to start there and show you, but this is true for pyramids, for triangles, for warriors, for many postures, forward folds, airplanes. This will be helpful in all those postures. So first of all, I'm going to come down and hinge and find my hip pocket. And the first thing that we do is we tend to come forward, and the first cheat or automatic thing our body does to find a cheat is go, oh, that feels better. That's so much nicer, because it's not pulling on my hamstring, and now I really feel the stretch in the belly of my hamstring, and I can get a little deeper in the pose. But then what I'm doing here is, where are my hips? I'm hinging here rather than here. So the first thing to do is watch where those hips are hinging at. So we inhale, secondly, lengthen through the spine to draw the breath in, to protect the spine, to keep the length, and then we hinge forward. And you'll start to feel that stretch coming into the hamstring here. And what you want to do next is take just a tiny micro bend in the knee, and that's going to help you focus more in the belly of the hamstring, because the places where we're most vulnerable when we're stretching are the insertion points. So here would be at the knee and at the glutes. So you'll notice sometimes when you're getting a really deep hamstring stretch, instead of really feeling it right here in the belly of the hamstring muscle, you're feeling it mostly up here as it attaches to the glute muscle. And we want to bring that attention, that focus down here in the hamstring, both mentally and through our alignment. So as I start here, I'm going to, first of all, get my headlights in the right direction, pull the length of my spine, and then hinge at my hip joint, not in my shoulders. And that's what I'm talking about, why it's so important to hinge and make the movement come from here, not here. So as I start to come down, I take that micro bend in my knee, and now I focus in the belly of my hamstring, and I can really feel a nice stretch here. And maybe I place my hands on my thighs, and I can really feel a nice stretch here. And you want to bring your hands on your thighs, not on your kneecaps. You're not putting pressure on the knee, because that will also hyperextend the knee and make that vulnerable spot right there, that spot behind the knees and the connection, become vulnerable. So I'm right here. And if I want to take the posture a little lower, maybe I use a block and I come down to the floor and I come down to blocks at first. And wherever I'm at, I want to try not to collapse into those shoulders, but I want to find the length in the spine. And then find a nice soft spot for the neck, so you're not looking all the way up or looking down, but the neck just extends straight out from the spine. You can bring the hands on the shins to modify, for example, here. That is a little bit more challenging because it has a balance component. But the other thing you can do is take a bigger bend in the knee, not just a micro bend, but a little bit bigger bend in the knee. And then you can really place the belly right on the top of the thighs to support yourself there. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, hinge at the hip. And then I can really come into that belly of my hamstring here and get a nice full deep stretch. And then always pull the length of the spine here. And you can do this in this little bigger bend in the knee in a few other postures as well. So say I'm down here in forward fold and I'm coming in, and oftentimes this is what we see in forward fold. We're like, oh, I'm collapsing to the shoulders, and then I'm really digging into that vulnerable spot right where it inserts into your glutes again. So what you can do is take a bigger bend in the knee, reach out for the toes, and again, I'm still hinging at the hips, I'm keeping my spine long, and I'm letting my belly just rest right at the knees. And this gives you a good indication. Then you can slowly start to work your feet out a little further as you rest the belly on the thighs. Keep the spine nice and long. This may be a little too much for me right here. Not very warmed up right now. And then another option here to keep the alignment would be just to sit up nice and tall. Pull the length in the spine, reach the arms overhead, and as you exhale, you hinge at that hip, come forward, keep the spine nice and long. And then you can draw the toes backwards, get a nice stretch from here down, from the knees down, and then just try not to lock or push the knees out. Remember, when we come forward and get that stretch in the hamstring, we want to feel it right here, rather than here or here in the butt. And what that's going to do is allow you to really feel the body and make that mind-body or kinesthetic awareness connection between the body and the breath. Recognizing, first we recognize what our potential limitations are, and then we recognize how mechanically through alignment we can come in to support the body to get in a little bit deeper into those postures, and then slowly build our practice from there. And when we do that, we can come into that relaxed state where we're not like worried or wobbling in the pose or feeling uncomfortable or distracted because it's potentially we're worried about it getting painful or whatever it is. We can really relax and sink into the pose and feel the full depth of the body in the posture and feel the full range of motion without risking injury. So hinge at the hips, headlights point in the right direction, lengthen the spine, come from the belly of the hamstring, and keep that soft micro bend in the knee, and hopefully that will help you with your practice. Namaste.